Yeah, I mean, the total amount of debt has grown quite significantly. It was estimated by end of 2020 that the total amount of borrowings from local government had already aggregated to 8.2 trillion US dollars. By now, that some estimate that the total is as much as about half of the annual GDP of China. The more critical thing right now is the cash shortage of the local governments because the vast majority of the provincial governments have less than 50% cash coverage right now of the 12 months debt that is owing. And the total debt service payments of local governments is estimated to be as much as 5.4% of GDP, rising from about 3% pre-pandemic. So that is the current situation.
Right. So just to clarify, Monica, the debt overhang could be as high as, correct me if I'm wrong, 15 trillion US dollars. What then is the default risk as this post-pandemic rebound loses energy?
Well, at the moment, in the foreseeable future, it does seem that default risk will be contained in the sense that there is an implied government guarantee for public bonds. Now, that's public bonds, which means that it is still possible for onshore other forms of debt to be rescheduled as they grapple with this issue. I think that short of default, though, there may be other forms of debt swaps or debt exchanges that may still be possible. So I think it really depends on how much the sentiment contagion will impact their ability to do refi, because this year we're facing a peak in terms of the amount, a historic peak that Chinese local governments will need to refinance.
Monica, you say this is relatively contained, but I mean, certainly these are eye-watering figures, and it has certainly become top of the policy agenda, it seems, from the latest NPC back in March. How much of a grip, a real handle on this do you think Beijing has, particularly given we've now heard of these stories of this growing public pressure in places like Wuhan, for instance, where locals have been named and shamed to sort of pay up now? That seems to be certainly a very strong message from the authorities.
Of course, with not only Wuhan, but also Yunnan narrowly avoided default on their bonds just recently. So it definitely points out to the strain that they have in the market, has turned some focus onto this issue. We do see rising yields in LGFV bonds in offshore markets, but if you look at onshore markets, their average yield is still very low. And I think this is in part because of very low rates onshore, but also because I think that the public still believes the public bonds will still be guaranteed. Now, that's public bonds, so it's really hard to say for the rest of the debt forms that could be rescheduled.